You are most welcome. Without wasting time, must bring the money item elandelayo. Sicomplyile Premier Blender Usubuyo. Siyazilandela regulations. We are in order. We are complying 100%. I just wanted to make you be comfortable, but the programs are Sonipa, but we're also observing the regulations as the President led to level 4. The program it's a culmination of program which June month as the district as Alfred declared a youth month as Utatunzo month because Utatunzo was once a young person in his life. The program is a culmination of a number of programs that we engaged also. It was a very intense program, premier across the whole district. Integration programs, the practice electoral district, the model they launch our president Ewaptam. The ends are up practically because when we are celebrating the program, all sector departments, all internal departments, all local municipalities, they were part of the program. Critical with the program, it went as far as remote areas like Otuson Center that we have in the district, Nopoi, you mentioned, the longest areas that we put there, the offices, like Abetabachicha, West Bay, this is Abetabachicha. We had a very good program up in the name of Tatunzo. Now the program we decided that my solution even who was part of the program that Tatunzo in this June month. We really want to appreciate your presence as always. Seeing wherever leadership in province, ultimately you come here on your own, whether it's physical, whether it's on a visual. We really appreciate the presence here. Prima as well. Welcomed already by Uspika Chief Upuetu Mamu Soba. On that note, without wasting time, we'll proceed to the next item, introduction of our honorable guest speaker, Sayenzelwa, Honorable Executive Mayor Usubi, Councillor Mashomapu. Subi, without wasting time.
Greetings to the director of the program, Honorable MMC Silo. Inzo family, Awanzo, all the PEC members as led by Provincial Secretary who is in the meeting, RTT members as led by the RTT coordinator, Comrade Tuvito Mhlelembana, all mayors, as I say, Alfred and other mayors from various areas, all councillors that are present in the meeting, the media, Alfred Community Radio, because this is being run live. Also, bonke i-Alfred community, abantu base-Alfred abazawumamela le memorial lecture ezisifundo sanamhlanje ndithi mandibhotise. A mind is too short uku-introduce i-guest yethu yanamhlanje. Ndithetha ke mna ke ngomntana omgquba, the son of the soil, ozalela kwezi ndawo zethu zasemakhaya kwilali ekuthiwa kuseNgcobo. Uzalwa ke naye ngabazali, isibongo sakhe nguDiya Ondungwane. ndithetha ke mna ke ngomntu oyaziyo imeko sihleli phezu kwayo apha e-Alfred, always ekhona phakathi kwethu. Unguchairperson ke we-ANC apha eprovinsini, iprovince yase-Eastern Cape. By virtue of being the chairperson, uhlala nakwi-NEC kwisigaba esi sikamongameli. Since ke kwathi kwaba khona i-6 addition apha e-Eastern Cape, yena wathi wadeploywa wayokuba ngupremier wephondo lempuma koloni. Ngoku andifuni ke kutyaxesha, ndithetha mna okokuba mandinikezele u-Honorable Premier of the Eastern Cape, uDia Honorable Lubabalo Oscar Mabuyane. Thank you, Program Director.
Through you, Program Director, if you hear me,
Yakuba Premier also khona abantwana besikolo all ears. Banomdla, they will listen to your lecture as delivered. You are audible.
yeah, I take it that the executive mayor was ushering me in. Greetings to you, Program Director, Comrade Silo. Mandibulise, the Executive Mayor of the district municipality, named after Utata Unzo, Comrade Sixolile Mehlo Makhulu Uhlubi. Ndibulise the Acting Speaker, uCouncillor Msokana, anduzubhomba tu namhlanje, zonke izinto zenu zihambe right, Acting Speaker. Ndibulise zonke imeya zomasipala basenzo, nemeya zonke ezinoba ziziphe ithuba losijoyina namhlanje, no speaker bonke be-local municipalities. The ministers and MECs, those probably might also have been joining us, whether virtual, the MPs and MPLs, all councillors, ANC leadership. I'm told the Provincial Secretary of the ANC, Comrade Lulama Ngcukaitobi, has joined, and the Alliance leadership, the veterans of our movement, the traditional leaders. Comrade Silo, you indicated that where you are with the family Katadunzo, zikhona inkosi ezikhoyo. The Nzo family yonke, abantu base Alfred Nzo, kunye nabantu bonke base Eastern Cape nabase South Africa abasijoyinileyo through lamakhasi o nxibelelwano. Comrades and friends, the media houses present, let me indeed extend our revolutionary greetings to all of you. On behalf of the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC, we say thank you very much to the Alfred Nzo district for remembering this giant hero of our struggle. Before I start with our message for today, let us join our brothers and sisters in our continent of Africa to pass our heartfelt, deepest and sincere message of condolences to the family of Comrade President Kenneth KK Kaunda and the people of Zambia for the passing of this great African liberator. I'm certain Comrade Baphethuxolo Nzo, whose life we are celebrating today, would forgive us for stealing a minute from this program to say, Kenneth Kaunda akekho ofana nawe. Indeed, a giant has departed. As the children of Africa, we feel orphaned. But KK would want us to celebrate his life by giving through meaning to African unity, by silencing guns in our continent, by ending poverty, diseases, unemployment, corruption, and inequality in our continent. He has gone to join the galaxy of stars from our continent who will continue guide us to succeed on the task at hand if we sacrifice and serve selflessly as they did. May his revolutionary soul rest in perfect eternal peace. Comrade Mambafula Magamute. Program Director, also allow me to welcome the developments that were announced by the President of our country, Comrade President Cyril Ramaphosa last night, of moving us as a country to alert level 4. These are not decisions that are taken lightly by our government. The main objective is to protect lives and preserve livelihoods. It is important, therefore, that I share some information with you, as information is power in the war against this pandemic. The active cases in our province are rising at an alarming rate. In April, they were 625. In May, they were 1,898. This month of June, they are currently at 7,203 cases. We are beginning to see also an exponential growth of fatalities too. In April, we lost 56 lives. In May, 91 lives. And currently this month, we have lost about 155 people. This is not just the stats, it's human beings. These are people who are unceremoniously departing this planet Earth, leaving homes, leaving kids. It's a very unfortunate situation. We have accordingly declared Nelson Mandela Bay, Metro and Sarabadman as high-risk zones, and we are implementing a resurgence plan in those regions to contain the spread of this virus. For now, the Alfred Nzo has a less burden of the virus with just under 40 active cases. But that does not mean leaders and the people of Alfred Nzo should let their guards down during this winter period. I urge you all to remain vigilant, continue communicating use of non-pharmaceutical health protocols to our people and heighten registration and vaccination of people over 60 of age in your district. We must use the alert level 4 period to ramp up vaccination in areas such as Alfred Nzo, because most elderly people reside in the rural districts such as yours. You have been doing excellently well thus far. Keep up the good work. We really appreciate your commitment, colleagues. Program Director, it was with a deep sense of reverence and gratitude that we received and accepted the invitation and a singular honor to deliver a memorial lecture on the legacy, life, and times of a giant of South African liberation struggle, an elder of our beloved African National Congress, and former diplomat Utata Unzo. His Worship, the Executive Mayor, Councillor Stolile Mehlomakulu, in his wisdom saw it fit that on the 7th annual celebration of the decision of this council to to rename the then Wild Coast District to the Alfred Nzo District Municipality, the Premier would be on this occasion contribute commentary as we collectively pause to reflect on the immense contribution made by the late Minister Alfred Nzo towards the attainment of our liberation in 1994. The recipient of the National Order of Luthuli, which the President of the Republic awards to South Africans who have served in the interest of South Africa by making a meaningful contribution in the struggle for democracy, human rights, nation building, justice, peace, and conflict resolution. And indeed, he would have actually been turning 96 in this past 19th of June. We continue to mourn with Alfred and Nzo family, for we know all too well the heavy price of the sacrifice you made in the sharing of your son, brother, husband, and a grandfather who, in service to others, dedicated his entire adult life to South African liberation struggle and the successful advent of our democratic order. The loss of the patriarchy of the Nzo clan was certainly a significant, deeply personal loss to the family. It was also a huge loss to our nation to lose a tried and tested leader with invaluable insights and experiences in the caliber of Minister Alfred Nzo, while our country was navigating the post-conflict and national reconciliation period. Such were the strategic roles and key moments in the life of our country in which Comrade Nzo, as our first democratic minister for foreign affairs in 1994 to 1999, worked and lived. It would be up to the foreign minister Nzo to re-engage the international community on ending sanctions, which would later allow for the free flow of commerce, relative positive economic growth, job creation, and largest state-backed socio-economic reconstruction and development program to be undertaken by the developing economy. As President Nelson Mandela's foremost emissary under our country's first democratic government, Minister Nzo would have the unenviable task of convincing skeptics of the democratic project, of its viability and validity, while remaining sober-minded as to the magnitude of the task at hand in the face of the world's adulation, following the triumph of the just and righteous struggle for liberation in South Africa. It is because of the work invested by liberation struggle activists such as the late Foreign Minister Nzo that President Nelson Mandela was able to convince the world of his intent for South Africa, which was to communicate the message of peace, unity, and reconciliation that earned Madiba a global admiration. Program Director Comrade Alfred Nzo exemplified the kind of a servant leadership our communities are calling for, an activist leadership that is in touch and on the pulse of the issues afflicting the poor, the working class, and the vulnerable in our communities. Servant leadership is selfless. We learn this from the liberation struggle icon, who in 1946, in the second year of studies towards a BSc degree at University of Fort, poised for a professional life which would have accorded him some measure of comfort compared to the sea of the impoverished black African poor and working class majority around him, made the decision and commitment to dedicate his life in service of others. Shortly after joining the Youth League of the African National Congress, he was immersed in student politics and became politically aware of the national political landscape and discourse, moving to Johannesburg to take up a post as the first African health inspector at KwaDukathole in Germiston, and later at the Alexandra Health and Community Center in 1951. It was during this time that Comrade Nzo developed much understanding of the lives of the masses, of the majority of South Africans. He became actively involved in the organizing of the Defiance Campaign in 1952 and was also involved in the campaign to interview people about the kind of society in which they would like to live. It is this campaign that culminated in the Congress of the People in 1955 in Kliptown near Soweto, south of Johannesburg, at which the Freedom Charter was adopted. As you would know that over the last weekend we were celebrating the 66th anniversary of the very same document, which is actually our overarching policy framework in our country today. Following his election as the chairperson of the ANC branch in Alexandra in 1956, Comrade Nzo was once again at the center of the struggles of the oppressed, the working class, when in 1957 he organized the Alexandra bus boycott, resulting in protest against the increase in fares, with workers walking to and from work daily for 3 months. His involvement in political activities cost him his job, and this quickly placed him on a direct collision course with the repressive state. His expulsion from work meant that he also lost his residential permit to live in Alexandra. He was subsequently arrested several times and finally sentenced to 5 months imprisonment for not having a residence permit. He served his sentence at the Modabi prison, where his father once worked. In 1958, Utatu Nzo was elected to the Regional and the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress. In 1962, he was placed under 24 house arrest, and in June 1963, he was detained for 238 days. The following year, Comrade Nzo went into exile, where he would cut his teeth in bilateral and multilateral forums over many years, working alongside the ANC's longest-serving president, President Oliver Reginald Tambo, and took up a post in various countries, including Egypt, India, Zambia, as well as Tanzania. With the eloquence and clarity of vision for the post-conflict period, Comrade Nzo was part of an intricate team that was to help solidify the ANC message to the international community in regard to the future of our country. Program Director, the decision by the Council to dedicate the month of June as Alfred Nzo Month, which also coincide with our National Youth Focus public programs of action during the month of June, correctly locates this municipality family within the sphere of the rich and diverse tapestry that is the story of the Eastern Cape province, the home of legends. By renaming itself after one of our own, the giant of our proud and just liberation struggle, you have paid homage to a great son of our soil and added another layer of the weaving of our colorful and diverse narrative. Utata Alfred Nzo also served as the longest standing Secretary General of the African National Congress. He occupied this position of the ANC between 1969 and 1991. In memory of the pioneering work of social activism that Comrade Alfred Nzo heralded as the first black health inspector in the country, the Alfred Nzo Award is now awarded to deserving health practitioners in South Africa in honor of a man who placed his own immediate comfort and well-being at a great risk in pursuit of the program of a better life for all. In Program Director in 1969, Comrade Alfred Nzo was elected as a Secretary General, as I've indicated, at the Watershed Morogoro Conference in Tanzania, and re-elected to this position at the Kwabe Conference in 1985. He held the position of the ANC SG at a very difficult time when our movement was banned, but kept the movement united and focused on the task of liberation. As we commemorate his life, the movement he served phenomenally, as SG is going through a renewal period necessitated by foreign tendencies that have set in post-1994. These are challenges that were first identified by the collective leadership that was led by the former President Nelson Mandela. The challenges of careerism in our movement, chronism, nepotism, patronage networks, corruption, and of members who see their membership of the ANC as a ticket to achieve personal ambitions than a responsibility to serve the masses of our people. We are deeply troubled by scenes of anarchy that we see in some ANC meetings for the selection of candidates for the upcoming local government elections. We recently learned that a comrade of our movement in Lusikisiki was stabbed to death yesterday in an ANC meeting. We pass our sincere condolences to this family. Equally, we condemn this behavior that we are really not accustomed to in the African National Congress. Again, in Ward 15 in Mhlonhlo, Qumbu town, a secretary of the branch of the ANC had also these funny visitors at night in these early mornings of today, 1 a.m., where his room was actually sprayed by bullets by people whom we don't know. He's lucky that he was not in the room, and we are happy that he survived that. And again, it is a result of what is currently happening. These are bad tendencies that Utata Unzo will really feel bad about, especially in the area that he knows very well, that it really contributed immensely to the struggle for the liberation of our people. Ifana ke nengxaki ebeke wathetha ngayo uSpeaker earlier on, a problem of gender-based violence and femicide. Ukuhlukunyezwa komama, ukuhlukunyezwa kwabantwana abangamantombazana. Sivile babakhona nabantwana abamameleyo apha besikolo abayinxalenye yale program abazofunda ngembali katata Unzo. Siyayibulela kakhulu lonto nasezikolweni nakotishara. Siyayikhalimela into yokuhlukunyezwa kwabantu abangomama nabantwana abangamantombazana. Ixhaphakile ke kwezo ndawo zase Alfred Nzo. Igama lika Alfred Nzo alina ukufaniswa nezenzo ezifana nezi. Sixakene nezingxaki phaya eNgquza Hill phansi kwe-OR Tambo. U-Alfred Nzo no-OR Tambo yayingamatshantliziyo ayelwela inkululeko yelizwe lethu, ayezinikezele ukuqinisekisa into yokokuba abantu abangomama nabantwana abangamantombazana bawukuphila ubomi obukhuselekileyo, ubomi obungenazo ezi ziganeko sizibonayo. Ilizwe elingazibana amadoda azizilwanyana, ilizwe elingazibana amadoda adlwengula abantu abangomama. So mkhulu umsebenzi wethu macomrade xa sicinga ngalamatshantliziyo, xa sicinga ngotata Unzo, andiqondi kutata Unzo yayikuyafika engqondweni into yokokuba ilizwe alizabalazele kangaka, naye wanikela ubomi balo kulo iminyaka yonke yobutsha bakhe, ingalilizwe elixakwe zizidlwengu ezidlwengula abantwana, ingalilizwe elibulala abantwana abangamakhwenkwe xa babheka esuthwini. Wayezabalazela uba ngeli xesha emveni kweminyaka engama-20 avisayo sikhululekile, sawube sinelizwe elikhululeke ngokugqibeleleyo, umuntu ongumama enxiba into afuna ukuyinxiba, ehamba indawo afuna ukuyihamba, kungekho mntu othi xa ebona umuntu ongumama abone ezinye izinto ebefana uba akaziboni. Siyabacela ngamadoda, siyabacela ootata, siyazicela iinkokheli, sonke sime ngenyawo, sibe kwiphulo lokuqinisekisa into kokuba izidlwengu nababulali abantu abangomama nezikrelemnqa ezenza ezi zinto sizibonayo kwiintlanganiso ze-ANC ngegama lokokuba beqhutywa yimidla yabo, masibasiphule nengcambu basuke kwii-community zethu sibanikezele emapoliseni bayogcinwa kwindawo efanele into yoba iyabagcina. Ezi zinto zisibangela umdintsi netyeneba siliphondo, zirhuqela igama le-ANC engumbutho olawulayo elizweni edakeni. Amalungu e-ANC makahlukane nokwenza izinto ezingafanelekanga. Amalungu e-ANC makayazi uba i-ANC lilifa, ngumbutho olilifa labantu baseMzantsi Afrika. Asingombutho owenzelwe iziqu neetshomi khona ukuze iziqu zenze unothanda ngorhulumente wabantu beli lizwe. Urhulumente we-ANC ngurhulumente wentando yesininzi. ANC iyakholelwa kwinkqubo yentando yesininzi. Yiyo le nto sithe i-selection of our candidates masiyithathe siyisuse ngapha kwemida yethu yobulungu siyinika abantu beli lizwe, kuba sithi i-ANC yiyo eyinkokheli yabantu beli lizwe. I-ANC is the leader of our society. So akukho nto irongo ngokuba ithi i-ANC ooceba bayo mayibe ngooceba abanyulwa ngabantu khona ukuze abantu bakwazi ukuzichongela aba bantu abakholelwa into kokuba bazawukwazi ukuba seva ngokuzinikezela nangeentliziyo nenjongo zokuqinisekisa into kokuba amaphupha ootata uAlfred Nzo, amaphupha ootata uMandela, amaphupha omama uWinnie Mandela, amaphupha ootata uOR Tambo ayafezekiswa. Ndithi mandixininisise kule ndawo mhlawumbi ngaphambili kuba isenza sibe nee-nightmares, isenza singalali ubuthongo obuhlayo. Into yokokuba xa ulala uzawuvuka kuthiwa umntu ongumama ubulewe, xa ulala uzawuvuka kuthiwa umntu ongumama kuba emdala ubulewe, kuba esolwa ngobugqwirha. Umntu ongumntana oyintombazana uzawuthathwa athwalwe endiswe ngenkani ngabazali bakhe enikwa indoda kuba abazali bakhe befuna ingeniso yelobola. Zonke ezo nto azikho semthethweni. Umthetho ke osanda ukushicilelwa uyayicacisa ke into yokokuba uba uvumela abantu bathwale umntwana wakho njengomzali, lo ufana nqwa nomntu othengisa ngomntana wakho, ngoko ke ufanelwe kukutshutshiswa. So sithi ke abantu bonke mabasebenzisane nathi, silungise ukuhlala, silungise amakhaya, kuba amakhaya azinzileyo azakusinika ukuhlala okuzinzileyo. Ukuhlala okuzinzileyo kwawusinika ilizwe elinenkqubela phambili nelizwe elikwazi ukujongana nemeko yabantu balo. That behavior is really un-ANC, comrades. The behavior of people killing each other, people shooting at each other simply because of differences. And leaders of the ANC in all structures must stop manipulating outcomes of BGM meetings. They must let the will of the people reign supreme, because their influence might be a causal factor of discontent and the violent conduct we see in our BGMs. I've heard ANC members complaining that leaders are the ones that are causing confusion and tensions in BGMs because they want their favorite candidates to emerge. That is ill discipline, comrades, and leaders who are doing that must refrain from such conduct. I also want to commend branches that have held successfully BGMs that were characterized by unity and cohesion. That is the ANC we know and a leader of society. Siyayazi ke makomrade xa kuthiwa kusondela iinkomfa kuqala imikhuba nezimbo esingazaziyo kumalungu e-ANC. Siyacela amalungu e-ANC ayazi uba kule minyaka i-ANC iphila noba yayise-exile njengoba nivile ngeMorogoro nava ngeKwabi, i-ANC iyakholelwa ekubeni funeka qho xa kufike ixesha ibiza ingqungquthela yokuhlaziya umbutho nokukwazi ukukhangela iinkokheli ezizawukwazi ukuthatha umbutho zikubeke kwinqanaba eliphezulu. Mayingalwisi loo nto, my comrade. The sacrifice and selflessness that we have actually learned from these giants must always guide us. We must always emulate them. I-ANC iyakwazi ukubajonga abantu bayo ngamaxesha onke. Xa i-ANC isithi masikhokelwe ngolu hlobo, Masebenzisane kuloo nto makhomrade, sibambane kungaliwa, because ukulwa kweenkokheli namalungu e-ANC kwenza abantu aba baxhomekeke kwi-ANC bahlukumezeke kuba abantu abanathemba limbi ngaphandle kwe-African National Congress. Your Alfred Nzo is the most poorest district in the country. Therefore, it needs a very sober leadership, a leadership with clarity of mind, a leadership that is preoccupied with development trajectory, a leadership that goes all out and look for investments to come and invest, a leadership that must create a conducive environment for that area to develop, fight inequality, fight high unemployment rate, fight high levels of poverty. Not the leadership that will be on each other's neck, fight because there's a conference, fight as if there will be no tomorrow. We really appeal to all of you, comrades, to stop these issues, these unnecessary foreign tendencies, and allow ANC to lead our people, allow ANC to grow, and make sure that all people of the ANC are happy and feel comfortable. Live unity. We must actually breathe unity, comrades, because that's the only unity that will help us celebrate utata u-Alfred Nzo, kuba yena wayesebenzela loo nto, wayengasebenzeli ezi zinto sizenzayo nezi zinto zibonakala ngokungathi siyakholelwa kuzo. Kungelishwa into yoba i-ANC ibe ixakene neengxaki ze-careerism ngoku. Iminyaka eyi-27 kwavulwa iingcango zesikolo ngokomyalelo waseCliptown kwi-Freedom Charter. Bekufanele uba kukho mntu ngoku mtsha onoze kuthiwe akanandlela yokuphila ubomi, akanazixhobo zobomi kuba izikolo zavulwa. Le nto yoba abantu bayolwa ngobukhansila bengalwi ngoba bezawuseva abantu kuba belwela uba babe ne-income bejonge isalary irongo. Uba yi-public representative kukuba sisicaka sabantu, fanele leyo into ize phambili. Sonke nabasebenzi bakarhulumente nalapha e-Alfred Nzo abasebenzi funeka bayazi loo nto into yokokuba abantu kurhulumente we-ANC baqeshelwe usebenza bamkele, abaqeshelwanga kwamkela basebenze. Neenkokheli ezinikwe uxanduva funeka zikhulele uxanduva, ziyazi into yokokuba zinikwa isibonelelo kuba zisebenzile, aziqale ke zinikwe isibonelelo zingasebenzanga. So siyacela ama-comrade ayazi into yokokuba the aims and objectives ze-ANC njengokuba zibhaliwe phaa kwi-constitution nesifungo se-ANC esisenzayo sonke xa sithatha ubulungu be-ANC mayibe siso esisibeka phambili ngamaxesha onke khona ukuze imidla yethu inciphe. Xa imidla yethu inciphile siziziqu, i-African National Congress elilifa nombutho wabantu belilizwe iyawukwazi ukukhula ngamaxesha onke. Comrades, we say the ANC must renew itself. We mean the ANC must fix what has gone wrong within its ranks. There are a number of things that ANC leaders and members need to find common ground on as part of the renewal project. And these include promotion of ethical conduct, upholding sound moral values, and being exemplary to the society we lead. It is also the responsibility of the African National Congress leaders and members to identify the tendencies that have led to challenges of disunity and factionalism in our organization and practically address those challenges through concrete resolutions such as your step aside, which is a resolution of the ANC branches that was taken in the Nazareth conference. It is a pity that the noble resolution to protect the image of the ANC is now the subject of court proceeding by people who should be the foremost defenders and implementers of that decision. But that should indicate to all of us, comrades, the political bankruptcy and revolutionary morality that has set in our movement. We must get rid of this phenomenon of people who have personal challenges with law, who turn their personal challenges into ANC challenges. We have allowed this scenario to go on unabating for too long, and everyone now in conflict with law simply mobilizes ANC members and use them to protest his or her innocence. We have said this consistently, that cadres of the movement must support other cadres who are going through difficult challenges. That is also part of what comradeship is about. But in doing so, they must not attack leaders and the integrity of the ANC by questioning decisions of the ANC when they are not favorable to them. Fana nqwake nalento yokokuba baphikisa isigqibo esizama ukumanya amagqala omkhonto wesizwe. They are against that decision because of personal agendas, not because they are genuinely caring for the welfare of the veterans of our struggle. Any MK veteran who's pro-unity and renewal would accept that decision without hesitation and work with the leadership of the ANC to unite our former combatants so that focus can be given to affirming them through socio-economic programs. The problem we have is that people have mastered the art of using cadres of our movement for personal ambitions, and that must come to an end. Members of our movement themselves in the leagues and in the ANC itself must liberate themselves from being members of other members and deal with the challenges of personality cults. We are in the 27th year of our democracy, comrades. The majority of our people are still living in poverty, are still unemployed, and are still most affected by inequalities. We should focusing our energies in the ANC on implementing the resolutions of the 54th National Conference to drive the more radical phase of socio-economic transformation. Alfred Nzo, comrades, niyayazi imeko esendithethile ngayo. Abantu abanamanzi, imeko zomasipala ziyazama kodwa aziqinanga. Mhlambe mandinincome ndinibulele into yokuba for the consecutive year nibonakala noko niqinisa kule nto yokwazi ukucacisa nokuphendula ngemali zikamasipala phaa ku-Auditor General. Ayikho lula into yokufumana u-unqualified, kodwa ayifunanga ibe ngu-unqualified oko. Funeka ide iyofika ibe phaa ku-clean audit, ibe ngu-unqualified with no matters. If we continue to have unqualified with matters, ithetha ukuthi isekhona indawanyana esiqhalela kuyo. Mandincome ke kodwa ukuba kuyabonakala noko ngenxa yestability esikhoyo apho e-Alfred Nzo, abasebenzi bayakwazi usebenza, ii-managers ziyakwazi umanager. Sifuna ke ngoku iinkokheli ziqiniseke ngokukhokela kube kumbono ocacileyo. Abantu base-Alfred Nzo bangaboni nje i-improvement ye-audit outcomes kodwa babone ukutshintsha kobomi babo. Amanzi aphume emadamini abheke ebantwini, kusetyenziswane bonke oomasipala babambe ngagxathu linye, zonke ii-institutions zethu zisebenzisane, siqinisekise into yoba iidimafo neentonto zonke za-institutions zethu ze-cooperative governance, ze-IGR, ziyasebenza kuba sithe ii-district municipalities zizo ii-centers zethu ze-district development model. U-national ne-province funeka bayodibana kwi-district kucoordinate umsebenzi worhulumente, umsebenzi wokuguqula ubomi babantu bakuthi ube ngcono. Siyafuna ke into yokokuba noko nani niziqhwabele izandla uba umsebenzi omhle noko niyawuzama, phofu loo nto ibangelwa si-stability ne-unity kwamasipala. Xa niqala ke i-instability nitsibelana, nileqana, ingxaki izawuba khona kuba ilishwa ii-administration zethu ziyathanda ukuchaphazeleka zii-political instabilities. But phantse koomasipala bonke esike sanengxaki kuzo nesinengxaki kuzo nangoku, amaxesha amaninzi sifuna ukusebenzisa i-administration to solve political problems. I-issue is about us. Kukho abantu abacinga uba akayazi uba uyawuba yintoni xa engengo-council, akayazi uba uyawuba yintoni xa engengomeya, engeyo-mayoral committee. Abe phofu engazange wazalwa eyiloo nto. Isisikhundla se-African National Congress ngokunikwa ngabantu ekufuneka wena ngamaxesha onke uzinikezele kwi-ANC, ibe yi-ANC ezawuthi ibone ngokokuba ubomi bakho iza kubuthini na ubheka phambili. Njengoba kuphela ithemu nje sinalo qulu kubhodi, abanye abantu benza izinto ezingacacanga kuba kungona beyazi uba kukho into ekuthiwa ngabantu echonga abantu. Kanti abantu ubazi lamhla uqala ukonyulwa khona ukuze ivumba lakho libe mnandi ebantwini, and abantu soze bakulibala, abantu bawuloko bekucinga ngomzuzu wokugqibela. Utata u-Alfred Nzo ke wayesebenza loo nto, esebenze kude ecinga abantu balapha e-Alfred Nzo, ecinga abantu base-Eastern Cape, ecinga abantu base-South Africa, esemazweni, exolele ukuba angabi nakhaya, eshiye amafa namagunya anawo okokuba yindoda yekhaya, okokuba ngutata womzi, okokuba ngunyana, kuba eyolelwa inkululeko yabantu bethu, eyolelwa esi sizwe esinaso namhlanje. Masingadlali ngaso ke esi sizwe kuba silwelwe. abantu bancama ubomi babo, abantu bancama onyana babo, abantu bancama iintombi zabo, abantu bemka bengabantwana bayohlala kwilizwe laselubhacweni befuna ukuqinisekisa into basenze loo nto. Sohlulwa kukuvuka kusasa thina sihambe siyosebenza sizinikezele ebantwini, sikwazi ukuguqula ubomi babantu bakuthi. So funeka siyazi ke into kokuba izikhundla esinazo zezemboleko ayizo zethu. Ungalala unaso, ungavuka ungenaso. Ngoku unaso, qinisekisa umzuzu nomzuzwana, iyure nemini, iveki nenyanga uyazinikezela ekukhonzeni abantu. Xa wenza loo nto uyawuba ukhumbula utata uAlfred Nzo ngolu hlobo ebefanele uba ukhunjulwa ngalo kuba wayezinikezele ekulweleni amalungelo abantu nokuqinisekisa uba abantu baphila ubomi obufanelekileyo. After the first democratic election in 1994, Comrade Alfred Nzo was appointed Minister of Foreign Affairs. The story of a minister, Nzo, should resonate and echo across generations of young people as one of the celestial stars of heroes and heroines who have gone before and showed us the way to personal sacrifice and dedication for the betterment of others and not oneself. We salute the life and times of Comrade Alfred Nzo, which were filled with so many clarity for personal growth and development, and even a clearer vision for the future of his country of birth and fellow countrymen. The story of the Eastern Cape province is a story of the resilience of the human spirit, the triumph of good over adversity, righting of wrongs, and hope for all that find solace and refuge in her bosom. May we continue, comrades, to take a leaf out of the life of this great stalwart of our movement and serve our people diligently. Ndiyafuna ke nothatha elithuba mphathi nkqubo ndidlulise amazwi ovelwano phaya kulaa family yakwaPhangwa, njengoko sisazi into kokuba sishiywe ngumama uPhangwa, umama ebekhe wangusodolophu ixeshana phaya kulaa masipala waseMzimvubu, umama who is an activist, umama who has been a member of the ANC, very diligent, very loyal to the ANC, hard-working, a member of Women's League, umama who has always been available, a former PEC member in this Eastern Cape province, a leader par excellence. Ndiyacinga uba ke i-leadership iyakwazi uyokufika kwelaa khaya inike ilizwi lethemba, inike inkxaso ebantwaneni kuba siyamazi umama uPhangwa naye ebekhona emzabalazweni. Ndiyafuna ke ukuthi yanga elaa khaya lingamkela into elingenawukwazi ukuyitshintsha, lomelele umama uPhangwa umzamo omhle uzamile kwaye ke nogqatso ulufezile. Long live the spirit of Comrade Baphethuxolo Nzo, long live. Thank you very much, Program Director. Dismissed. They are disconnected. You have been removed from the meeting. Who? Me.
Of a leader emerged from the school, Esla Petabatita, next to Maria Zell. We had premier 2 schools in TBC Senior Secondary School and Maria Zell Senior Secondary School, competing on debates and poems. Critical was the issue of gender-based violence and femicide. He listened to young people giving direction in terms of if Nzo Utatowe was around during this COVID-19 pandemic facing us, what Nzo would have done. I must say it here, we have got leaders in making within this area. Masibulele kakhulu premier. Singaphinda simqabele upremier. We hope the whole of South Africa was listening. We hope that the whole of the province was listening. We just want to acknowledge the presence of the Provincial Secretary, Lubabalo, in this memorial lecture of the longest serving Secretary General of the African National Congress. I've also acknowledged the presence of the members of Parliament, Siyabulela, for gracing this august occasion.
Malibongwe, Siyalo.
Siyabulela, Mama Nkosi kakhulu. We are proceeding very well in terms of time from Tabachicha Nzo Community Tison Center. Siqhuba silapha eTabachicha kulenda kaTatunzo. I mentioned earlier ukuthi apha sine family kaTatunzo. Also here sinayo uNtatunkosi who's always with us kule area yaseTabachicha, and we want to appreciate that. We also have abantwana besikolo, but we're still complying, as I mentioned. Singena ku-item ilandelayo ngoku. Le item ilandelayo, le item usoyibona nalapha kum. Ngoba ngoku bendiqalisa apha bendifake isingqingo sase-Western. Ngoku ndijikile ngoku ndiphinde ndasondela phaa kupremier. Sisondele phaa kupremier. Njengoba besimbona phaa ekufull gear yabaSuthu. Kuthiwa asekho live okanye iqhawuke because i-network. Are we still alive? Yes. Oh, enkosi.
Yes. Sisakuva direct.
Ajabulele bangabantu sisekhona sonke. Ngoku kule item silapha the family apho ndizawurequesta u-MMC Creative Arts and Culture uMamankahle asondele ukuzonxibisa ifamily ifane no-premier ifane no-program director. Premier, there's a meaning to this hat I'm wearing, to this hat you are wearing. There's also a meaning, it is not just an attire. This hat represents Tababusi Mountain. In a history, even the design yayo, so in Tabale, King Sheshe will lead his nation up to the summit of the mountain in case they are under attack by 7 Samaj and rolling the stone down to defeat the enemy. So this represents a very significant history in the life of Basotho. Ingu Wolena, which is the blanket, Mabarakuba Basotho, represent a particular special identity of Basotho. It talks to oneness of Basotho. The unfortunate part of Premier could figure out Queen Elizabeth. Abesotho used to wear the animal skins. I figure Queen again. Why transform a lot of in a history? Hence, they come from England. Coming from England, some of them are named after Victoria. Victoria Masulange Apollo Victoria. Besides that, this attire represents a very rich history. to make sure that it does not disappear going forward. Siyabulela Premier Mama Kahla, can we have this next item? Siyabulela Enkosi kakhulu Honorable Councillor, with that, the item immediately after it's a very short activity. Is our college the item is the family Gatatunzo as a symbol of appreciation, a token. Uba bakwazi ukuthi basiboleke babole kumuntu utatunzo, as it was mentioned now Premier Ngoge delivery sheba is the longest in 30 years time Zambia in the history Livingston in Lubabalo katat uwartab. That history is still relevant even today, so we must appreciate kakhulu family yake Abba Itabachicha, participating a token of appreciation. Also, Balegi Lejuba Sputadukus na Kona Pendawen, Simnigaz Intoni Ponaye, Yagan Kokeli Ella Pemstalin. A token of appreciation by Nuyiswa, Bafane Nazi, Bafane no Premier. Because of the observation of the regulations, Sesi basi to build the program le, kelege mamu councillor asondele item has been. Namhlanje celebrate the life of Utatunzo. We celebrate his contribution, both in the movement, both the government. As you remember that he was the first Minister of International Relations, which used to be called Foreign Affairs then. So, apa kulenda usukuyo, ukona ne cake cutting ezokwenzeka ngoku. So sizawunikela nje ifamily yakatatunzo ukubeka nje amazwi sicela umama eze ngaphambili.
Emini kamakana nje siyabulisa mntana umphathi nkulu, ndibulise abaphathi bonke abahola kamasipala, ndibulise abakhulumeya ngokulandelana kwabo bonke abafuna ndiyabulisa nakule ngingqini lapho kule nhoko. Okwam nje kufutshane kuphela engakuthethayo ngale mini namhlanje. Ngiziva ndinovuyo kuba ndisazi ukuthi yimini katata Alfred, but kumke ayingotata ubhuti Alfred. Enyanisweni ubhuti Alfred mna andimazanga ixesha elide, ndamazi usuku oluyi-1 efikile apha eThabatshitsha ukubuya kwabo kulaa ndawo babegcile kuyo. So into endayenzayo mna ndandiyalela ukuba mandiphungise utata Alfred ndimenzele iti, ndimbona lo tata esoloko ehoyiwe lonke ixesha kodwa ndixelele uba ke ngubhuti wethu ke lona ubhuti wethu omdala apha ekhaya. So ndiyabulela ke kumasipala wase-Alfred nzo xa emane ukuza eza kwindawo esihlala kuyo emane ezokwenza isikhumbuzo sikatata Alfred. Ndithande nokuthi Nkosi yam ngale mina namhlanje nabantwana Nkosi yam abakhoyo apha bayabona ukubaluleka kwemfundo. Utata Alfred benzele into ezinhle. Ndikhuthaza ne-community eyase-Alfred nzo neyalapha eWard 14 okokuba Nkosi yam zonke ezinto ezibezithethwa sizimamele phaa esipitshini uba makhe zitshintshe khe kuphele Nkosi yam ukuphathwa kakubi komama nokuphathwa kakubi kwabantwana. Ngale mini katata Alfred nam Nkosi yam ndiziva ndinovilo olukhulu. Ndiqinisekile ifemeli imamele ifemeli yabantu. Mna sendenze kakhulu ndingumakoti and amamele obhuti kwindawo abakuyo uba lo makoti uthetha uthini ke namhlanje ngobhuti wenu. So ke nam namhlanje ndiyabulela ndiyabulela kumasipala omkhulu owenze yonke le nto ukuthi maphumelele namhlanje. Enkosi.
Sikhwabele singaphinda simkhwabele siyabulela. I-program yethu iyasondela phaa ekugqibeleni in compliance ke ne-regulations. Activity ye-cake cutting asizuba nayo in terms of asiyenze practically because inayo into yokusondeza abantu kufitshane nomnye yona i-cake yona ikhona. Funeka siyazi loo nto uba namhlanje sivuyela isuku lakatata utatomncinci. Amazwi ke amafishane cele ukhawuleza ukuthi singene ku-item le cake cutting izawyenziwa u-executive mayor kwe-program ibhalwe apha but ke i-level lesikuyo you are not going to be able to basiyenze practically no process ye-cake cutting. Loo nto senze basiprocede within time ikufuna sicomplyile but siyenze le nto soyenza njengoba siyenzile premier sibuyela kakhulu kodwa also adhering to regulations. Isisa loo nto kumbulele uvote of thanks. I-vote of thanks isawuyenzelwa intatemureke udimona ufunyana tatemuso utata kapili utali kwa sitšhaba sohle se mametseng ka kakaretso South Africa le kaofela e le jwalo le province ya rona Eastern Cape le district ya rona Alfred ntse le matati le isitse batho ba thaba tšhitši kope ntate morena ka o tšho jwalo a tle ka pele o tla retsa tiro. Vote of thanks latela program a ne ke le kana kwa re ya ka re o tla mphamisa ka mogogoro wale ke COVID level 4 ha o tsolo ka tsa fono ka mo di tsana fela morena wa tla ka pele tla etsetsa vote of thanks ka mosebetsi o motle o entseng. Once more we really want to appreciate you Madam Premier, our ANC chairperson in the province, for a message we delivered today. Cuts across social issues, cuts across political issues. Quite a revolutionary statement. What a delivery. It goes.
Give me the premier. Give me the information. Give me the Ibuyise abazali bawenza abafana ba generation yabo ibuyise untate bomme ibuyise abasukulu badenga bazafikela shipeni bazali bawenza ibuyise ka ofela kali bitsola bana majiso reste plan Tasali bitsola kali lokona bakwini tasali dini pile ba chi imenya bakali mzoni kumisibeni ili yena anzima shi nisbara sana satawachicha ka di-village tse itseng. Batswadi ba ka mona ke a kopa gore ke tlo ka etsa maswe a teng bohle ba teng kwana ka hara program ena e le yona. Ke tla leka hore Ntate Sello ya mpha mantswe a kgothatso a bolela hore nnete ka nnete ke ke ba teng a re tsebile ditaba hona ba tsa ntse maemo a COVID-19 e le nnete ka 16 ba go ke re mo yona le tsela le mona le tsela ya la mo so imam bona le ba ba nyana tsele se ba fela sola hai le la ya hai bona ke motho a ka ba ke ba ka hore pele ka le ba mo le ba re a le bua ka te mo rumso ka le tsola hai le bua ka le bana le ntse le gona hore le ntse se ba se ba sa bona tsola ba le ha tsona shebe e ka re ngata dipotso tse re fumana ho latela mosebetsi o ntse le hona se a se ba bona le motho ke a mo le bua le mo ma botse se ba mo ha o ka ba ka khotso ke go fete le ba tsa ka ba teng kwa sa ke se na sa ba go di we ba tsa ba ka di bua re mo bua ka o ikgathatsa mo e le kana le ka ba mo e mo ya kana ka ba se le COVID-19 ore le ka di ikgathatsa la ka teng kwa e se ka le ka tsama ha ntse sa le na wa le mang ka wa ba ke ha o tla tla o mo ya bana me ka o fela la ke pa ba tsani re le o e se ka la o ba ga khotso di go
sizawusondela ekuluzeni iprogram into efuna mhlawumbe siphinde siyitsho premier ngoku sekhona sizisondela ukwenza ama-build-ups for i-centenary yakatatu Alfred sifuna ukuphakamisa ukuthi officially ke u-executive mayor uza officialize sisalena from centenary yakatatu October that kufuneka sibe ready because here you are talking international and national African kind of a program ezawufuna uba siyiqalise ngoku singalindi kude kufike i-centenary. It's upon us u-2024 lapha kufishane nathi siyarhalela ke uba le program njengoba isesayibona ine-spin-offs kwi-area in particular se-Alfred because apha we are not talking about the sub-regional leaders. We can't reduce our icons to regional or sub-regional. But I think, Chair, siyayiphakamisa into ethi sibonile sibhenefita kule political legacy esi-inheritayo from our icons. So nakulena ke ngabaluleka sibone i-spin-offs kule centenary enkuwa mhlawumbe kufuneka siyiphakamele silidishwa by our chairperson in the province, our premier, towards i-centenary. Iliphakamisa nje i-program kuba siyazi ukuthi sinayo nisiyayihalela ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi siyenze ibe successful base kufika ixesha with those build-ups esifuna ukuziproposa towards that. I-item yokugqibela, which is the final item, the program yethu, we are on time, we are keeping time. And sifuna uku-appreciate that sikwazile ukuthi program yakatata Tatunzo ihambe kakuhle ngohlobo. Then i-item yokugqibela kukubuza yenzelwa by a member of the center management committee appointiwe bazosenzela inclosing sicela eze ngaphambili umuntu ozomela i-center management committee esiappreciateayo sisayinikezela apha ye-guard room because these facilities are not supposed to be white elephants. The active seventh, there is this structure, there is also this committee functional is but negative way, mama. Because
tla dumedisa premier ya rona ke dumedisa baetapele bohle ba teng kwana le ntate morena wa rona le setjhaba sohle se teng kwano bana ba sekolo le lona le ke a le ha o le tole ka hlola ke sa le bua ke a fala le a tseba ka Sesotho sa bo rona for ha morena a buile o buile ha o sena motho ka hlola a bua ka marao ya me ka mo ke pa re emele thape Isolan tate le la mara le la moya o kana le na ja ko panta te mo sa mahao ko pela ba eta pele ba rona tate mo sa mahao ba fethala la fatso ka sana le bana ba rona le setjhaba sa bo rona ko pela wena tate mo sa mahao ko pela le president ya rona e tshwere mathata ka bophelo bo teng le fatse le ka kwa re o ko panta te mo sa mahao mahao wa rona la rona le setjhaba ko bana le matsisa moya kana le na di be le rona bohle ka sa kae amen
Nkosi kakhulu mama Sibulele ukuthandazo executive mayor chief whip and our acting speaker leadership of Alfred and all mayors in our district and ANC leadership led by our provincial ANC chairperson and secretary, all members of mayoral committees and committees from all local, all honorable councillors and traditional leadership in the district, all the people who were invited, our honored guests who honored this August event, Jagadadunzo, Tiafun Bulela, see Alfred Nzo. On behalf of Alfred Nzo, we really want to appreciate. We are now at the end of the program, which is a successful program from the beginning, from phase 1 and phase 2, as we complete our EAPL program, unless executive mayor to call it off to Lisa Bamba, the premier, and the rest of our invitees. We are completing the program. From the premier, that we do not expect to see under the circumstances of COVID-19. Should we call it down?
Manbulele program director and the team, I know they covered everything, went very well. Thank you very much for the program.